disciples made their way through Galilee, and he did not want anyone to know because he was instructing his disciples. He was telling them, "The Son of Man will be delivered into the hands of men. They will put him to death, and 3 days after he has been put to death, he will rise again." But they did not understand what he said and were afraid to ask him. They came to Capernaum, and when he was in the house, he asked them, "What were you arguing about on the road?" They said nothing, because they had been arguing which of them was the greatest. So he sat down, called the 12 to him, and said, If anyone wants to be first, he must make himself last of all and servant of all." He then took a little child, set him in front of them, and put his arms around him, and said to them, "Anyone who welcomes one of these little children in my name welcomes me, and anyone who welcomes me welcomes not me, but the one who sent me." The Gospel of the Lord.
Praise to you, Lord Jesus Christ.
Well, as I mentioned at the beginning of Mass, today is take 2 in terms of Jesus trying to prepare his disciples for his upcoming death and resurrection. Just as last week we heard that St. Peter, after he was revealed to him that Jesus' identity was that he was the Son of God, the Christ, and then immediately Jesus starts to reveal that he must suffer and die and rise again. So with the revelation of the identity of Christ, there's always the cross. This is a part, an inseparable part of knowing Jesus Christ. If we dare to call him the Christ, the Son of God, then we will also be dragged into the cross and death and resurrection with him. Today, Jesus has another go at trying to prepare his disciples for what's to happen. This time, though, at least they were hearing a bit more, but they didn't understand. But what I want to just reflect a little bit with you about is what comes next. They didn't understand what he said and were afraid to ask him. These are his 12 apostles, aren't they? And his disciples. There's a certain closeness to Christ. Granted the differences, but there is a closeness. Why were they afraid to ask him? It means perhaps because the relationship wasn't as close as we might expect. And just as we know in our own lives, sometimes, with our loved ones, we won't dare to say something because we're going to get our heads bitten off. Has that ever happened to anyone? Put your hands up, to be honest. It happens to all of us from time to time, We choose our moments carefully because the person is in a bad mood, or because something else is happening, or maybe there's been a previous disagreement, and so things are a bit tender. So now is not the right time to ask. However, I don't think that's what was troubling the disciples at that time. They were afraid to ask. I don't think it's because our Lord was being difficult with them. I think it's because of something on their part that had maybe been obtuse and a bit thick, or something else. But because of this lack of closeness wasn't there, they were not able to get the message. Then St. Mark adds another thing that seems to be completely disconnected from what just went on. And he gives us the episode of them walking from Capernaum, coming to Capernaum, and then they go into the house. But in fact, the two are very closely connected, as we will find out. Jesus asked them a simple question. What were you arguing about on the road? So obviously, our Lord was ahead of them. But close enough to hear that there was hot commotion going on between them. At least he couldn't hear, but our Lord, remember, has other secret knowledge. He does happen to be the Son of God. And then he says they say nothing. And by the way, the nothing here is not, they said, what were you arguing about on the road? Oh, nothing. It wasn't that. That's not how we're meant to understand it. It means they remained silent. So they've obviously got something to hide. Jesus knows already, and they've been arguing which one of them is the greatest. To us, it seems comical, doesn't it, that 12 grown men arguing openly who is the greatest. I mean, we cannot imagine ourselves doing that, can we? Realistically? Not really openly arguing with one another. Yeah, well, I'm the greatest. We'll just call each other out and say, you're so full of yourself, you know, how dare you think that way and whatever, and it wouldn't last long. We'd laugh at each other. But for the apostles, it was clearly a hot point of contention. And in fact, this is their most common debate. They're arguing with each other. St. Luke, in his Gospel, has them arguing with each other even at the Last Supper, arguing with each other which one was the greatest. And we can just imagine how it goes. St. Peter might say, well, look, I guessed that he was the Son of God, the Christ. I'm the greatest, clearly. And he made a big prophecy about me. I'm going to be the stone on which he will build his church. Not that Peter really understood that very much at that moment. Or St. Matthew might say, well, listen, I'm the only one educated out of you dumb klutzes. You know, I'm the best out of you guys, you know. And Judas, saying, you know, I'm in charge of the purse strings, I control the finances, I am the most important here. And James and John, well, we stuck up for his honour and glory when the Samaritans didn't want to accept him and were prepared to call down fire and brimstone from heaven. And he had to talk us out of it, you know. So we are therefore the greatest. But I want to ask again, do we have these debates amongst ourselves? And you know what? The answer is we do. We just do it more subtly. Do you think priests and bishops and cardinals and popes ever have these debates amongst themselves? Yeah, not. Because priests and bishops and cardinals and popes come from ordinary human families like yours. We're all together. It's the same human nature that Jesus came to redeem. What's at the base of all of this? Why is it that the apostles struggle with this so much? Because deep down in the human heart, there is a longing, a yearning to be honoured, to be respected, for glory, to be recognised in one way or another. And this longing and yearning for honour and glory to be recognised isn't some corruption that has come about as a result of original sin. Original sin wounded human nature, but did not corrupt it, did not destroy it completely, as Martin Luther and some of the other Protestant reformers were saying. Original sin wounded human nature, but it did not corrupt it. So this desire for honour and glory and recognition in one form or another is actually placed there by God. God has made us wish for these things. And if we think we don't have any of these desires in our heart at one point or another, then we're not being true to ourselves. He has made us for heaven. And in heaven, God himself will serve us. What, you might be thinking? Well, that's what Jesus says in the parable. The Son of Man, he will sit you down at table and wait on you. What an astonishing thing that God will wait on us and serve us in heaven. What form will this take? How will this look? Don't worry, I don't know that. We'll wait and see. But the point is that God will honour us and treat us as the apple of his eye. So the longing for honour and glory and recognition is something deeply within the human heart, and it's actually a good thing. But the problem is so often our ambitions fall very far short of where they should be. So we settle for second and third best and fourth best, i.e. human glory instead of the honor and glory that comes from God. Because God's honor and glory lasts forever, whereas human glory is passing. How many people in our culture have we heard who are famous one moment and then something happens and they're gone? The media writes them off, and what happened to their honor and glory? They're nothing but a memory. Whereas God's honor and glory that He promises us lasts forever. But let's get back to, I said, priests and bishops and cardinals and ordinary people like yourselves. We all have this competition, but we just do it more subtly. How do we do it? Well, the clothes we wear, the way we behave, the cars that we drive, the books we read, our education, names dropping. Everyone know what I mean by names dropping? It's who are my friends here, the important people that I might mix with? Well, I had a call from the Prime Minister the other day. It's pretty hard. The Pope's going to call me tomorrow. Yeah, right, wishful thinking, But you see, that's names dropping. I try to make myself look important by referring to somebody I know or something I did, no matter how weak that link may be. But we do this very subtly. We even do this in conversations. We can tell in a conversation whether somebody is actually talking to us sincerely and genuinely, and they want to hear what we've got to say, and we do the same for them, or somebody else who is actually trying to score points. And in the conversation, trying to show us how good they are. The one-upmanship. Well, you think that's good, Well, what have I told you I did, See, that's the sort of competition that's going on. So, what it's ultimately pointing to is, where is our motive? What are my motives for behaving as I do? Is it to give glory to God? Is it to help my neighbour? To be genuine with whoever I encounter, regardless of their position? Because that also reveals something about me. Or am I really trying to seek myself in the other person, in the encounter? Now, how do I know if my motive is upright or not? A very simple criterion that I use. If I don't get acknowledged, if I don't get praised or complimented or whatever, thanked for something or other, I make some contribution to something, I get involved in this or that, I help a person, and if I don't get a thank you, is there a little tingle inside? I didn't even appreciate anything I did. I wouldn't do that again next time. Sometimes we feel that, don't we? That means my motive wasn't completely upright. It means I was really doing it, at least to some degree, for myself. And if we want to also know ourselves more deeply, obviously apart from prayer, which is essential, that contact with God, but also, and be careful about this because you might just hear something you don't want to, turn to someone at home or whoever's not here necessarily at the moment in the church, someone who loves you. Turn to someone who loves you, because those who love you, really love you, will speak honestly with you. They will tell you things that you may not want to hear, but they'll be true. You see, a false friend will be tempted to tell us things that they think we want to hear to feel good, to maintain the friendship. That's a false friend. That's a false friend. But someone who really loves us, say, look, don't take this the wrong way, but let me tell you, please, I have to tell you this. And hopefully they'll say it in a kind way so that we will hear what they have to say and come to know ourselves more deeply. A good, honest reflection from somebody who loves us is a wonderful human mirror for us that helps us to recognize more deeply our motive. So, what's the connection with this passage and being afraid to ask Jesus? You see, this second passage means that there's, as long as our motives are about ourselves and making ourselves look great, then we won't have the ears to hear and the openness of heart when Jesus wants to tell us something deep. We won't hear it, just like the apostles. And then we'll also feel afraid to ask, because we will realize that the problem is not him, that he hasn't been clear, but rather that I am closed off to hearing it, because I'm too full of myself. So I'm going to leave you with a final story about Saint Therese of Lisieux. Saint Therese was a Carmelite nun who died in 1897 at the age of 24 years. She was in the Carmel, the monastery in Lisieux, and she died of tuberculosis. As she was dying in her last months, the custom at that time was that the prioress, this Mother Superior, would say a few words to the other monasteries around about this particular nun. And the local community would have a fair idea who they were, but other communities wouldn't. And there were two nuns talking, I think it was outside the window. They didn't realize that Therese could hear them. They're talking about her. And one said to the other, "What will Mother Prioress say about this one? Or write about this one? She's done nothing." And when St. Therese heard this, rather than feeling hurt and despondent, she was filled with joy because she realized that her sisters, at least these two, did not know the richness of God's life within her. And that tells me, and it ought to tell all of us, that her intentions and motives were very, very upright. So we too will have something of that uprightness when we can do good and help others without having to receive the thank you. If the thank you comes, fantastic, wonderful. But if it doesn't, we are not bothered by it, which means we're really setting out to please God and to do good for our neighbour rather than to seek our self-aggrandizement.